We are rolling.
Yes,
Happy
we
Wednesday,
are.
Heather.
Happy Wednesday to you, Matt.
It's almost over. We're almost through hump day. This is good.
Yes. Yes.
So for anyone who is new, this is How to CPCU. We're put on by volunteers of the CPCU Society. Myself and Heather are the usual hosts, and we are here every single Wednesday at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central to help you navigate the society, understand what value there is, how it's formulated, who's in it, how to get some good professional development and value out of it by being involved in the society. So all really good stuff. And because it's such good stuff, you should definitely like, comment, and subscribe. The like and subscribe helps us with the search algorithm. And comments, we take live comments and questions. So, for ourselves as well as our guests. And we have a very special guest today. So, without further ado, did I miss anything, Heather? I think that's the standard shtick here at the beginning, right?
That's the spiel, Matt. You roll. It rolls off your tongue like you've been doing it for a little while.
It's more like the exit velocity from the shovel is really good. So without further ado, we are very lucky to be joined by the brandy spanking new executive director for the CPCU Society, Spenser. How are you doing, Spenser?
Wonderful, Heather, Matt. It's great to be here with you tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to hang out with you guys.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So, so people have some context. How long have you been sitting in the chair, so to speak?
We're going on 5 weeks. That's 5 weeks, which I should have done some Googling to figure out if that's a gestation period of like a platypus or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah. I was gonna say the honeymoon's over.
Yeah, exactly. No, loving every 5 weeks, every minute of it. So.
Awesome. So, for anyone who is unfamiliar with you, just kind of give us like we don't need a L. Ron Hubbard, 9 million page background story on you, but if you have 1-2 minutes to kind of give us some of your background in terms of what you've done in your prior life before coming to the society.
Yeah, absolutely. So I won't start with that. I was born 2 weeks premature.
Yeah.
And my mother still reminds me about that. But
it was a Thursday. It was cloudy.
It was. Yeah. Dew pointed around. Yeah. So I'm Spenser Villwock. I grew up in the great state of Iowa. So right there in the middle of things, not too far from Des Moines, Iowa, which is another of our insurance hubs. Throughout the country, but I grew up in a very working class family, and went on to after high school, then moved into Iowa State University. Have my undergraduate from Iowa State University. Coming out of Iowa State, then started my own business. I understand the rigors of being a part of a business owner, all the aspects of sales, marketing, toilet scrubbing, etc. That's a part of the job. And I think from that good Midwestern background helps then teach me, good strong work ethic as well. But also instilled within there is the value of service to others. And as I progressed throughout my life and through my professional career, then I really found a home in the nonprofit sector. And in that taking business principles and plugging them into mission-driven and purpose-driven organizations such as the CPCU Society, helping to then provide opportunities to empower individuals and the businesses and those that they serve through education, through networking programming, through elevation opportunities to be able to then reach their dreams and to be able to inspire others along that pathway and make the world a better place. So I drink a little bit of that altruistic tea of what the society does and what a society can really be. And I'm just thrilled to be here, to be a part of it. So yeah,
awesome.
It's great.
Mary Calmer said to say the Iowa chapter's claiming you, Spenser.
All right. You got it, Mary.
You're official. You're a made man. No one mess with Spenser. So Spencer's from your neck of the woods, huh, Heather? Kind of. I mean, more relative
Kind of.
than me.
I was going to say like go Big 12 because
Yeah.
There we
Iowa
go.
State, right?
There we
You
go.
know?
There we go. Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's awesome. No, we really appreciate that. Understanding your beginnings, Spencer, helps people to see you as a person and not just as this figure
Yep.
and, you know, representing the CPCU Society. So appreciate that personal connection that you're providing for everybody. And, you know, Matt, this conversation can be wide open tonight because I know
I love it.
everyone's interest has definitely been piqued to get to know you as a person.
What's your favorite food, Spencer?
Let's see. Well, pizza, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
well, pizza or tacos. It's always a toss-up for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that too, Heather, because I mean, and I look at it. I mean, I've got no ego in this piece. And I try to then, you know, the way I view it is we're in a world and also in a position. I'm in a position to be able to serve in an authentic way. So we all operate as part of a team, and we all come from our areas of expertise to be able to then bring together the community of the CPCU Society to be able to then make it better each step of the way. But hopefully enjoying some pizza and tacos
along the way.
While we do it. Yeah, exactly.
So I have to apologize. You had a head of steam there, Heather, and I kind of derailed you.
No, it's fantastic. I love it. But, you know, the CPCU Society for many people is a little mysterious at times. You know, it's more than 75-year-old organization that represents, you know, the pinnacle of insurance education and people who are committed to the life in insurance.
Yep.
So how do you think the CPCU Society today can just unveil that mystique and help people to see that this is just a great organization that offers so many benefits to so many people, both inside and outside of our industry?
Absolutely. Love it. Love that question, because the value that is a part of the society being and that we know from engaging within the society is so potent. It's literally life-changing, right? It changes both on the professional trajectory of where we're headed within our careers, as well as then it gives us a community of like-minded people coming together for like-minded purpose, and it gives us those lifelines, those critical lifelines to be able to then lean on one another, because that network outside of you know, a seminar, or outside of something, you know, into risk, those hallway conversations and those connections that you make that are directly applicable then back to the subject matter that help us to relate is absolutely critical. So I think for me, I think that I feel so honored to be able to step into this point in evolution within that, you know, heading towards 80-year history within the society, that we have really helped to then provide so much value and really raise the notoriety of the credential of CPCU and those that have earned that designation to the level that it deserves, and the level that of being at, you know, that it's the best of the best, and how to then share that with others is then what I'm walking into as well, is that there's been long conversation within the society and within the leadership council and board of directors and everyone as to evolution and evolving the society in one of expansion, to be able to then welcome in others that are choosing to be professionals within the industry. And I think that, you know, we are at the cusp of being able to then open that doorway up and open the aperture up to be able to welcome in everyone that has made this choice to join the best career possible, and to be a part of then the value that is being a part of the society, and to make those critical connections and have those lifelines and benefit from, you know, the top shelf educational content and events that we have. So I think it's a lot of it's going to be in telling our story. You know, helping to tell our story in a different way, because I think those that those that are here and that have reached that destination, and you think about your own personal stories as to how you learned about it, and we kind of had mentors, right? We kind of had people that said, well, check this thing out. This is where you need to go. And I think that that we can't rest our laurels off of that mouth to mouth, or that ability. We need to then help to then share with others. And I think, to your point, Heather, too, help to share with the industry and the public at large, to recognize CPCU as a household brand, if you will, as a designation, in which then means that the same thing as anybody off the street understands what a CPA means, and what a PhD means, and to look at it that way, because it is absolutely a credential which has just a tremendous amount of difficulty and rigor to be able to achieve, and it does illustrate then the excellence within the industry. So we need to do a better job at telling that story and sharing it with others.
I love that. I love that sentiment, and I would agree with you. I think that's the best marketing, right? The best marketing is being able to tell a heartfelt story, and it being heartfelt, it has impact, right?
Yes.
All right, let me ask you kind of like a philosophical question.
Sure.
Within the society, we've had some good times, like we had a golden era of the society.
Yep.
We've faced some headwinds within the last handful of years that has,
Yes.
we don't necessarily have to rehash them, but, has affected membership. It's affected
Yep.
some of our, ability. We've had a couple of annual meetings that had to, like adjust or even be canceled and things like that.
Yep.
Are you someone who kind of like looks back at those things and uses that backward-looking vision to craft the future? Or are you someone who says, all right, this is the direction we're going. I don't really care about the history so much?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's a wonderful question, Matt. So I think that if we ignore our past and we ignore what we've come from, then we are prone to make mistakes, and we are prone to be naive moving forward. So my philosophy is really, I consider myself a pragmatic visionary, and what I mean by that is that I'm able to kind of straddle time, if you will, and take a look at where we've come from. And I feel that my left foot is firmly planted in the history of what we have, understanding that, and that creates strong, solid footing, and that creates the foundation of where we're at right now. And then my right foot then is planted on where we need to go and looking into the future. But yet you're balancing those two then in the present moment, which is the only time that we have to be able to act. So understanding where we've come from is absolutely critical. Not forgetting that ever, not discarding and casting that aside as a chapter that was written by a different author, but truly owning that is that we and the society as a whole is built on the backs of tens of thousands of individuals throughout the course of time that have led that kind of relay race of passing that baton one to the next and makes it what it is today. But yet fully, again, as you're alluding to, recognizing where we're at today and recognizing that we have been on a decline, and we can't sugarcoat that. We need to acknowledge that, because if there's only so much altitude left before the plane crashes, and that's nothing that anyone in the past wants, anyone in the present, nor anyone that we want to serve in the future that could benefit from it. So that pragmatic, visionary, self-proclaimed, trademark pending, is I think it helps me to kind of see. Some are just true visionaries, right? That just kind of see the future, but yet their head is in the clouds continually. And I feel that I have the good fortune, I guess, of being very grounded in the present, learning from the past, and working to then operate in the present and lead others together on that shared vision as to where we're headed.
You're like Elon Musk wearing a seatbelt. It's good.
And no flamethrowers either.
No flamethrowers. The liability insurance will kill us.
Right, exactly. What was he doing with those anyway? I don't know. Yeah.
Look, when you got that much money, I mean,
Yeah,
pretty much anything you want, I guess.
Do whatever, I guess. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Heather?
No, I was just going to say, I've always considered myself to be a little bit of a real Nick, is what I call
real Nick. I love that.
Nick,
I love
a real Nick dreamer.
Patent
is what I
pending
am.
as well.
Yeah, patent pending there. It's a combination of a realist,
Yep.
tiny bit of cynic,
yep.
and then I'm a dreamer as well.
Yep.
You know, because I like to see the future. So
Yep.
That pragmatic visionary really struck me there, Spenser.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the way of our world today. You have to operate from that place. If you don't, you'll get really mired down in the awful things that are going on. And if you do, though, you can walk through those with your head on your shoulders and not flying up in the clouds all the time.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. I like that. I like the way that you put that, Heather. And I've got a little bit of that cynic inside of me as well. And I think that, and I visualize when you were talking about it. So one, I mean, cynicism, I think is can be to a fault, right? We can be pulled down just like the undertow when we're swimming in the ocean. Like that cynicism can pull us down and can hurt us. But to be aware of it and to feel it on our toes, dancing around our toes, helps us to continue to be strong swimmers. And I think that a little bit of cynicism that's inside of us, we use that as a catalyst to be able to do better, to be able to improve every step of the way. And again, it can pull you under, or you can be the pie in the sky and just never think about it. And it's like, well, no, that's not the way to do it. So I love the way that you put that, Heather.
Yeah, that cynical. I guess it would be like a black cloud. I mean, yeah, it can definitely. Too much of it is not a good thing. I think of Ron White, the stand-up comedian, talking about being on a plane once, and they had some turbulence. And he was like, I've been drinking all day. He was like, go ahead, hit something hard. I don't want to limp away from this one. That's like the ultimate cynicism.
I love it.
Let me ask you this. So you're 5 weeks in. What's been the first 5 weeks look like? Just kind of what were the boxes that you wanted to check, the first month or month and a bit here?
You bet. Yeah. Great question. Thank you for that. So one, hanging out with great people like you guys. And I think both of us, had some good one-on-one conversations as I'm trying to understand and learn the landscape, which has been my main piece of, with any journey, you need to pull out the map in a way and kind of take a look at understanding then that your legend and understanding kind of where the waypoints are, understanding those different critical pieces that are a part of the landscape that we're in, and I think that so some of it was data oriented, of taking a look at what do we know, where are we, taking a look at some of that historical piece, and I read countless. I'm kind of a geek for governance related stuff, so I read through years worth of different iterations of our bylaws, different meeting minutes. Took a look at kind of the fabric and history of kind of where we've come from. It can seem that way, but again, got a twisted view on it. But and then learning a lot about where others then were looking at this, trying to identify this common shared vision, which in our case had what was being articulated to me is membership expansion. And we need to do this. We need to do this thing. We've got data that shows it and illustrates it. We've been on this nosedive. We understand that a large segment of those that are in the industry have been moving into post-career, and those that have historically then have been a part of the organization, they're no longer there. Some of the ROI that our members that have been there for us over years are business has changed and they're looking for a different value proposition. So I really kind of took a look at all the data that was there, worked with all the key stakeholders, been trying to get into each of our interest groups and into each of our committee meetings as schedule allows, learning also then all the great partnerships that are part of the institutes, because we are a hub and spoke. We are a spoke of the hub of the institutes, and there are about a dozen other affiliated organizations that shadow over the risk management insurance industry that are logical partners within what we do, and some of the brand names that we all turn to for thought leadership, etc. So I've really been leaving no stone unturned in a way to be able to really help to identify the path and the journey forward, so that I can then try to articulate it and see if that resonates with folks. And I've started to articulate it, and it seems to be resonating. And our leadership council is starting to rally behind then more of the crystallization of what membership expansion looks like and what that value proposition that we can provide folks is going to look like come later this year and into the first part of next year, when we open up that doorway to be able to then be a much more inclusive and diverse organization. Yeah.
So you've been Bilbo Baggins going on an adventure
into
the CPCU Society for 5
the ring,
years, right?
The ring.
No. Yeah, that's I think that's great, and I think that it helps the membership of the CPCU Society to really understand like who you are and what your role is. And so, I mean, if you can share,
yes,
what's your top 3 things that you think that you would like us to accomplish in the next year as a society?
Oh, great. Yeah, great question. So I think we were talking a little bit, pre-show about I use the word change, and that I think that we all, as humans and as business professionals, we all embrace, at least rhetorically, that change is inevitable, right? That we embrace change as a fact of our lives, that it's something that absolutely affects each one of us. So I think knowing that we're not immune to it as a society, I think that one of the key pinnacle things, and knowing that change is imminent and change is coming upon us, to work to embrace that to the best that we possibly can, to not resist change for the sake of resisting, but also not to button your lip when you see a pothole coming up, or you see, like if someone has a perception as to don't step there because they hold on to a critical piece of insight, share that, because again, it's the community working together towards leading us towards this change and towards this shared vision. So I think embracing change and kind of reflecting on our own relationship with change is number one, so that we can come at it from a place of emotional intelligence and come at it in a place of being that, I forget the term that you would use, but yeah, the realistic with a little bit of criticism, but yet optimistic flavor that you used, Heather. So that I think is number one. Number two, let's use change as a catalyst to get excited, to pump some life into the society, to be able to tell that story, not only looking in the person in the mirror that's looking back at us, to remind ourselves why we're a part of this great group and why we volunteer and we pour our hearts and pour our dollars into this organization, but also within our own spheres of influence. Now that we are opening up the door in a different way, you look at other colleagues and other people that you have touch points with that otherwise would not have been, a potential member for the organization. Well, now that opens up a possibility. So, help to be an advocate for sharing the potency of what the society can be with other people. And it'll be, one, you're going to make a dang good friend for life. They're going to turn from a colleague to like, wow, you just like leveled me up in such a different way that I didn't even know about it. So be a friend of change, be a friend of the society, and help to advocate and have fun at doing it. And three, I think, get involved. That it's one thing to be a dues paying member, right? It's that makes the financials and makes the business proposition work and helps to then, write out that plane that was taking a nosedive in a different way. That's fantastic. But again, you take a step back, and what we're working to accomplish is like-minded people coming together for like-minded purpose to solve complex issues and problems that are all part of each one of our worlds. So that takes a different investment, not financial, but one of the most limited resource that we have on this planet, which is how we spend our time. So we need to, and that's the biggest ask that we can make, is it goes beyond just making the financials balance out, but it's participating and seeing more of the tens of thousands of those that are in the industry, the tens of thousands of members, to engage and to get a little uncomfortable to go to a chapter meeting, to take them out of their usual, to go and that investment from all the stories that we know and all our personal experiences is going to be a story that is told retroactively about a pivotal moment, which then led them on a different aspect of their journey, right? So in recap, what was it? It was be a friend of change, have fun, and be a friend of the society, and help to advocate for us. And then the third piece was I was talking about getting involved and being involved. So I think that those three things I think are critical to us, and what I would ask that we embrace as a society currently within it.
I love that. Something that we talked about offline, a couple weeks ago or last week, I forget. Time blurs together nowadays. It's like, I'm like, I talked to you last week, and they're like, no, it was last month. So when we last talked, something that came up was, for the last couple of years, there's been a lot of spaghetti thrown against the wall, right? But there hasn't been a whole heap load, or at least it hasn't necessarily been completely evident that there's been a whole heap load of like deliverables or actual, final solutions that have been implemented or kind of changed. So from that standpoint, how do we get from, obviously a group of extremely intelligent and motivated people who have great ideas to implementation and execution?
Yeah. Great. In relation to membership expansion specifically, or what's the spaghetti that's on the wall, Matt? Tell me a little bit more about that. Is it a meat sauce? Is it
Well, yeah. I mean, we can start with the membership base, and then expand it to whatever else you think needs to be worked on, and some end products or results be derived.
You bet. Yeah. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of a sidestep, and then I'll come back to your story too. And I think it kind of hinted at something. Yeah. Well, hopefully without that look that he's always got. I don't know. I can't do that. But at least hopefully it'll give us some flavor to what I think Heather was alluding to earlier. Is a little bit of some of my management style or direction and kind of leadership philosophy, and I definitely espouse a servant leadership mentality and philosophy. And so again, it's I'm charged to then help to then bring things together and take the data points and then help to culminate the best of the best, so that we then say, well, that spaghetti that was stuck up on the wall is I think what we're all talking about, and have deliberative discussions around it, to then negotiate then through to make sure that we are a majority in agreement that that's the one. So I think that I guess I say that within there definitely has been a lot of spaghetti that's been put up there, and I don't think that from what I see that we haven't done any work for the sake of just doing work in background and surveying and understanding, and I think that the society has been more in a position to be able to try to if I can be so bold to say, a little bit of analysis paralysis, to look critically of like, well, what do we do? How do we do this? How do we best take a look at it? Because I think that some of it is just the propensity of those of us, that are within the risk management insurance industry, we're trying to mitigate risk, right? So even within the society, I think that we're trying to be as measured within it, and some of my philosophy too. I think so. Nonprofit, I mentioned, I kind of fell in love with the nonprofit sector. A nonprofit is a tax status designated by the IRS. It does not exempt you from taking solid business principles into everything that you do, because our investors, those that invest into us, are, and I don't like the word member dues. I like member investment, because it just changes the paradigm a little bit, in which then you think about it, because then the investment then is to derive value, and that's what we work to provide, and we provide value in a variety of different ways. But taking that then into the spaghetti on the wall is, so we borrow business principles of having, we have to have our strategic plan. We have to know kind of where we're going, that destination as to where we're headed. Within that strategic plan, then as a shared vision, some key buckets as to what those milestones look like to be able to then get there, what areas of service, how we work to then engage, take into account, engagement with not only a domestic footprint, international footprint, our chapter network, et cetera, taking all factors into account, backing that then into more of kind of, for better or worse, smart plan orientation, and working with our volunteer groups to be able to align how the work that each one of our volunteer groups and our interest groups and committees then are helping to play a critical role in helping us to meet that strategic plan and those goals that are set out there, a couple of years down the road. And then on the staff side, that backs into operational plans and work plans as to how we're, time-based, measurable, achievable. And then a key thing that is very important to me is also reporting and transparency. That we need to do a much better job at having dashboard reporting and transparency initiatives, so that it's clear to our investors, our members that come to us, how we're putting their dollars to use to be able to then provide that return on their investment. And I think that that's another area of opportunity that I see, and I kind of visualize like a section of our website which would then have that dashboard, cpcusociety.org/transparency, or whatever, to be able to then click in there and see the critical vitals. Where's our association at? Where are we performing? And then keep that line of communication open as to, what do you see? As members looking on, what do you see? How do you see then, the trends changing, which then leads back to that third thing of like getting involved, so that we can hear the voice and we can help to be a megaphone to the knowledge that you have to, empower yourself to then come be a part of us, to also then help to share that with the collective organization as a whole, so we can be better. Yeah.
That's something that Heather's a big fan of, SMART goals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You gotta have it. Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely have to have those types of goals. Otherwise, I've always found you're not going to achieve what your objectives are. So.
Correct.
And I'm a real visual person, so I put everything out on like a vision board so I can see it, and throw darts at it when I get frustrated with it. But that's just the way I like to operate. But so you talk a lot about getting involved, and Matt and I are. There's no secret that we're like gigantic CPCU cheerleaders, and we will jump through any fire, any flame, run through any brick wall to try to do something for the CPCU Society. But I think there's a pretty big contingent of CPCUs out there that are CPCU in name only, and they just they re-up the dues, or a lot of times they just get into that situation. Well, I'm not really going to pay the dues. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to make my investment into the society, or they don't even really see it as an investment. What's your challenge to them and to the rest of us as to how we can help those who are not engaged become more engaged?
Yeah. Great question. And I think it might turn. I'm going to turn back to my index finger again around embracing change, and knowing that if human beings as a whole, and societies are not immune from being human beings. We're all humans, right? I don't know about Matt though. He may be a cyborg of some sort. We're not sure. Inconclusive tests will go. But it operates on an 80-20 principle, in which then that you see 20% of your vocal minority, right? Either those that are really engaged, and that are like you guys, and that are out there, through the wind, the storms, through the hail, and you're, singing from the mountaintops the benefits to the organization. Also within that 20% though are those that are upset because they woke up this morning and there was oxygen to breathe, and there's like that. It's a cynicism piece. It's kind of pulling them under, and they haven't yet risen to that ability to be able to then release themselves from that inertia. So that's within the 20%. Then you have 80% of the silent majority, right? That just you never hear from, which I think is what you're referring to, is those that are kind of sitting by the sidelines, that wear the shirts, wear the emblems, and cheer for the team most of the time, but we don't see to be able to get engaged. And I think that in embracing the change, and helping to be a part of that, and helping to be an advocate, it's working to be inclusive, and one, structurally and programmatically, we need to then diversify our suite of services, what we do. It obviously needs to change to be able to then cater to different groups of people with different likes, and groups of individuals that are on a different section of their pathway towards earning their CPCU, or even those that have earned their CPCU designation, to talk about the value in a different way, and then embrace them and fully welcome them, and encourage them to get involved. Sometimes, I'd venture to say a lot of folks and a lot of members that I've talked with, there was a critical person that made an ask, that a one-to-one ask to say, come with me to the next, CPCU chapter meeting. And I don't know. And inevitably they did, right? And then that's, again, that life-changing event where it kind of changes the trajectory, in retrospect, that we look at. But so I think it's not to be discouraged by the 80-20 principle that seems to be set out there, but yet knowing that as we widen the accessibility and widen the avenues of inclusiveness to join the society, that number will grow, in which then our 20% of those active folks will also grow, and we're going to see new faces and new people at different events and activities, and so it's upon us as stewards that have been around for a long time to be open to that, not just kind of turn the head and we continue within our conversations that we're having with those that we've already aligned with, but to say, hey, come on over, who are you? And to be welcoming, and I think that is going to be a critical part of our success as a society moving forward too.
Oh yeah, oh definitely. So to that end, there are some different units within the society that I think in some way, shape, or form in the recent past, it's been tough to understand how they kind of fit the puzzle pieces, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of those groups is the chapters, yep. And then the other one of those groups is the interest groups. Yep. So kind of in your mind's eye, where does that relationship kind of fall as far as like the main society, and is the society kind of, should it be more involved in the operations of those two different types of groups, or should those two different type of groups, operate with a certain level of autonomy, with just the society saying, hey, we have some support resources here for you if you need it, but pretty much, do what you want to do. Yep. Where are you on that spectrum?
Yes and yes on both, actually. So and I think it's not an authoritarian regime. I guess I'm going to say that it's not a fed from the top down type of thing, and it's not it's again kind of going back to that owning a collective vision, and that the community being essential and everyone playing a different role. I think it's honoring that and it's also a unique piece within this paradigm. And I didn't share too much about my professional journey because I realized I was talking on too much about my personal thing, and I wanted to cut it off in 2 minutes earlier. But some of my professional background, then I run and directed chapters. So and I've led chapters from a national level as well. And helped to then initiate some critical initiative within the last association that I was at for 11 years, in which then there was a huge disconnect. And I see not as big of a divide of a disconnect within our global organization and our chapters, but I think it can definitely be strengthened in that our success are dependent upon one another. Our members are shared, and our victories are our victories. Together. And so I think that, but yet providing autonomy of the local chapters to be able to then make the secret sauce that then resonates within their abilities, their volunteer abilities, the resources that they have, as well as then the relevance within their local markets. They know what they need, as long as they're listening, and then we can perform more kind of best practices and meta-analysis and kind of sharing what we see as general trends. We provide the big picture, if you will, and kind of provide some of the clay in which is the success in which then the artists work at the local level to be able to then make it into an absolute masterpiece. And I see the same thing. I mean, a similar thing within interest groups, in which then it's slightly different role, of course, than what chapters are working to then provide value and services, et cetera, but tapping into the expertise within our volunteers that are in interest groups and showcase the thought leadership in a much different way than we have. And I think that I think again, it's that telling of the story and helping to then provide that value. And I think that we're at the cusp of when we do this expansion, it's going to kind of naturally change some of the demands that happen, within each stakeholder group that we're talking about here, the chapters, our global organization, as well as interest groups and different other leaders, even our leadership council, et cetera. It's going to challenge us to adapt to what we're hearing, and I think that we just need to stay in coordination and learn from one another along that path. And it's going to be a collaborative effort.
Awesome. What are your thoughts
Good
on that?
stuff. No, good stuff there. I'd like to pivot just because we talk about declining membership, and that something that feeds that is the what they call the silver tsunami, which is the exodus out of the industry. And that is upon us right now. Like, we're in the midst of it. So what are your thoughts on how the CPCU Society, chapters, interest groups as well can best engage and get the next generation excited about this designation, but also this journey that you can take being a part of the CPCU Society? Great question. And I like the way you put that too, the silver tsunami. And I think there's a role for those that are in the silver tsunami too, right? To help to tell that story, to help to be a part of sharing then the wisdom and the knowledge that they've garnered over the years of their career, and which then I think that's what we were all hungry for when we were young, right? We were full of energy, full of vision, and we deluded ourselves with thinking that we could do everything. But yet, and also I think that that there's a differentiation between access to knowledge and that wisdom piece that only comes through the course of your life, that you use applied knowledge to be able to then navigate through life, and you then make good choices, and you then gain wisdom based off of that, which then garners success, and you share those bits of wisdom along that pathway. So I think that
we're up against a little bit of a challenge in which I think, everybody has a smartphone, right? Everybody's got an internet connection by and large. Everybody, I'm making a huge generalization there, but there's a tremendous amount of access, especially to professionals that are coming up in this industry. They have the tools at their disposal to be able to then access knowledge. They can all Google, but we can't lose this. The shrewd and the smart ones know that, that's the implied knowledge is what you're trying to then get at of how do you actually do it? Not the what or the why, but the how. And I think that helping to weave that story into everything that we do, it's not just the what's and the whys, but it's also that how is going to help to then, by virtue of doing that and helping to then tell that story in a different way and provide the value, it's going to help to become a partner within a young professional's journey as they're working towards earning their CPCU. So I think it's a bit of a mind shift, and we can't do anything. We can't control any of the externalities, right? We can only control what we can control. So it's setting up the paradigm for success, harnessing that information, helping to then set up those mentorship opportunities, helping to then make those connections, make those programs, and market it the best that we can. So we let then people make a choice. Do they want to be a part of it or not? And I think that the answer will be yes. And I think that we're going to grow. I don't think that the CPCU as a designation or the CPCU Society has lived its best day yet. I think it's yet to come.
Yeah, I share some of that optimism. I think I'm a big believer in like foundational years. I think that 2020 most definitely. I really hope it was a foundational year, because if it wasn't, it was just a complete dumpster fire. But I like to believe in these ideas of periods of time where you go through struggle, but they are either inflection points where you have to work really hard to kind of lessen the fall, and then that gives you velocity once you exit. Or the other thing is, like, when things are going good, you can plateau and work really hard and nothing seems like it's happening, and then all of a sudden you hit that next kind of like rise. I think 2020 is that. So speaking about externalities and stuff that we can or can't control, we've had to live through COVID. We've had to adapt in a lot of ways. Part of that adapting was a fully virtual InterRisk last year. This year we are hybrid. So, I don't know if you've been able to kind of dig into that or how involved you've been in the planning of that event so far, but how do you think we navigate that? What does a hybrid InterRisk look like?
Well, I'm going to ask you to run it for us, Matt, so you guys can just do it. No, I think, you're right. So we have lived through a...
Honey, I won't be home tonight. I got stuff to
do. Love it. I think that it definitely, we've been through a great accelerant within our professional and our personal lives over this last year, right? A great accelerant in which then there were a lot of business practices and principles, and I'm really referring to the physical distancing that we needed to do throughout this experiment, in which then we had a lot of these tools at our disposal. We had a lot of the access. Zoom was a thing. We just didn't use it as a noun, a verb, and an adjective or an adverb very often, in our lives. And now we are much more comfortable sitting behind cameras. We're much more comfortable, engaging in different ways. And we also have learned a lot about efficiency, effectiveness of this tool, of this virtual tool, which it is not to supplant anything in person, right? I think we've also realized the fatigue that comes out of being in a purely two-dimensional world, trying to simulate three dimensions, where we long to be able to come together again, which I think again is why InterRisk is going to be a great success. And we're bumped up against the problematic aspects of being reminded again that we're still coming into something that we hopefully will call a post-pandemic world, in which then there are restrictions that are on site that then are going to they're capping things off. And I think we are going to hit that cap and unfortunately have to turn people away in person that would have otherwise come on any other year that we've ever known, in which then, the sky was the limit. So we can't turn our backs on in person, and we can't say that digital is a solution, but we also can't turn our backs on digital as a part of a tool in which then we need to utilize in the same way that we have 15, 17 different ways to be able to communicate on this device. You need to master through it to know when the right time to be able to then make a phone call, do a FaceTime, make a text, shoot somebody an inbox, whatever you need to do. It's another communications tool that's at your disposal that creates immediate access. It helps to be a much more equitable vehicle to be able to then not force anybody to pass through TSA to gain knowledge and to gain insights, but knowing that again, they're on the virtual realm, you're at a bit of a deficiency in which it's hard to be on the fly. It's hard to have those organic social interactions that you can, and some of those side conversations that you can coming out of a room that's in person. So I think the society, I think that we're going to keep a close eye on it. And I have been involved, and actually it was kind of one of those pieces of the map that was kind of waiting there for me of like, oh, okay, great. So this is what we're doing, and this is what we're doing. And I've got a lot of background within that, as well as in my last organization where we learned how to pivot and do things in the virtual realm and saw areas of success, failure, et cetera. And then I'm a geek for governance and process. And so I've been paying a lot of attention to other, thought leaders within the global footprint of events, of the event space and how to do this. And so I help us to look at, we will hybridize. We will have the in-person event because we need to, and we need to get back out there, and we need to start to heal from this. But we cannot forget about those with individual circumstances that we want to create that equitable opportunity for them to learn and engage in different ways. And I foresee that it'll be a part of our future. And in essence, we'll try to weave the two together as best as possible, but they're really kind of, you're doing a broadcast, and you're doing, an in-person, and we need to have the resources to be able to then perform top notch at both.
Yeah. I'm excited. I want to see what it looks like. And I've shared this with you. It's no secret or anything like that. I thought should have been hybrid for a couple of years prior to COVID. But such is the case. I mean, these things end up necessitating us to adapt and to change. So
correct.
That's good. We're getting outside of our comfort zone, and that's a positive.
Yep. So. That's the accelerant that I was remarking towards is that things that early adopters were testing, that we were, majority of us and the majority of folks in the bell curve then were kind of, wondering if that's going to work. We'd been forced to then take that test into practice out of necessity over the last 12 months. So it accelerated 8 to 10 years worth of business practices within a year. And so here we are. Yeah.
Here we are.
Yep. Disruption is no longer a novel term, nobody says, disruption anymore, because that is the fabric of our lives over the last 16 months.
What is the normalized equivalent of disruption? Is it just ruption? Is that what it is? It's
maybe
just ruption. We have a constant state of ruption is what we have. Do you have a final question or comment for Spenser, Heather?
No, I really do want to say thank you, Spenser. We work hard on this show to just give people the peek behind the curtain with the CPCU Society to kind of remove that mystique. And you sharing your vision and, the mission that it appears that you're on now, and the adventure that you're going through, it really helps people to understand there really isn't anything like super mysterious about this. We're like-minded people with a common purpose, and we've got this mission and this vision and all these values that surround us to support us along the way. So that is that. I just want to say thanks, and I know that our viewership out there is really appreciating seeing you here, and we can't wait to have you back, and cannot wait to see you in Orlando for sure.
I should. Yeah, we could do a poll. How tall am I? We could do that with each one of us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's great. No, I appreciate the opportunity, Matt and Heather. It's been an absolute honor to be here with you, from conversations prior, and to be here to share a little bit about that this teamwork approach, that there isn't any mystique. There's no hidden agendas. There's no behind the curtains. There's really no curtains. It's coming together. Yeah, as you said, and I am fortunate to be able to then help to then contribute in the ways that I can towards making our community and our society as best that we possibly can. So there's nowhere but up from here, and want to just thank you both for all your volunteerism and on all your leadership, not only for the society but also for the industry, and putting on this show is absolutely critical, because I see that I see your vision within what you're doing here, and we're so very closely aligned, and it's really helping to inspire so many others. So thank you.
It's our pleasure. It's I think we have fun doing it too. So it's not like this isn't like pulling teeth, which is good.
I love it. I love it.
So we have a good time, and obviously we get to joke around and geek out a little bit at the same time, which is good. So
absolutely.
So I want to say thank you. Obviously your time is precious, seeing as how you're even being 5 weeks in, I'm pretty sure there is a mountain of things for you to be working on at the moment. So I appreciate you taking the time. And for everyone else, reach out to Spenser if you have questions, if you want to say hello and welcome and things like that. I think, is it LinkedIn is the best place to get to you?
You bet. Yeah, LinkedIn or Twitter, or hit me up on Interact. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Any of those platforms, reach out to Spenser. Say welcome. Be nice. He's a good dude. I've talked to him a couple times now. He's a good down to earth person. So definitely chat him up and make him feel welcome. So that being said, I don't think we have something specific scheduled for next week, but we are working on a topic. And big news, we have a production assistant that's going to be coming online and helping us schedule things and keep a calendar and make sure that I'm not mucking things up on the back end. So that's always a positive. So we will be back usual time next week, Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Central. And, that's it. Any final words, Heather?
No. See you guys again next Wednesday. Thank you again, Spenser.
Yep. We'll see you next Wednesday, but I'll be watching on the other side. So
definitely chime in. You can troll us if you want.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
With that, have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody.